Hey y'all, this is Blazing Diamond Rose. This is going to be my attempt at my second video in my new mini series, kicking the hornet's nest, and in relation to my last video. This video, I believe, will be much shorter than the past usual ones. Just in relation to the context of it. There is a saying from a movie. I believe it was Batman Begins or Batman Dark Man Rises. One of them movies with Batman in it, but it had Two-Face in there. Let me find the quote right quick. I thought I had it. Yeah, it was by the by the character Harvey Dent, who was actually a police officer. Oh, was he a police officer? The heck was he? Or a lawyer? He was somebody who was supposed to be good, and he actually was good, and then he experienced trauma and pain, and it pushed him over the edge. But the thing was, the Joker in the movie was, betting on him the whole time, on trying to see if he can push him over the edge and push him to the dark side. But unfortunately for him, that particular character, it pushed him over the edge, where he was just consumed with hatred and wanting vengeance, seemingly unquenchable vengeance, where he became ruthless and Machiavellian like. But anyway, the quote is called, "You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain." Now, that's just something I just wanted to throw out there before I go into my little video. Like I said, this is my second part of kicking the hornet's nest, and actually the subtext or subtitle is the HurtLocker. Which might seem like a tangent of things, but I might actually try to keep this kind of short. I'm going to try to keep this kind of short and concise. But like I was talking about, these Minecraft things and the spiritual warfare that we're undergoing, right? There's a part in the Bible where it talks about where Jesus resurrected Lazarus, who was one of his best friends, if not his best friend, right? Along with Lazarus' two sisters. But Lazarus had been sick, and then he died. And his sisters, Martha and Mary, informed him that he was sick and dying, and wanted Jesus to come immediately to go see him and heal him, make him well, so that he would not die. However, Jesus stayed where he was 2 more days, which perplexed them and baffled them. I'm like, why couldn't you come immediately? Right? Like how he saved Peter from the ocean. The moment Peter started drowning, Jesus snatched him up with his arm. Right? But yet, he allowed Lazarus to his sickness to worsen to where he died, and then he got all moldy and stinky and in the tomb, but yet he still called them out and told them to unwrap him like he said he was. But it was like, why did he delay that? But it was to show the power, the power and the timing and the discretion of God the Father. That God the Father is over everything. His wisdom, his insight is unfathomable to us. We can't possibly grasp that. We're supposed to just live our life, exercise our faith, live our mission, do our best to fulfill the missions or that he's given us, the roles that he's given us as his children, whether those be mothers, fathers, police officers, lawyers, teachers, whatever we're called to do, firefighters or whatever, soldiers, actors or whatever. If your job is to act, to stay in the context of, that what your job is and what your calling is. But your job and your calling is not the same thing. Our calling with God is higher. It's out of this world. If it was of this world, what did he say? If his kingdom was of this world, that his people, his children, would be fighting for him. That they wouldn't let him be handed over, or they wouldn't have let him be handed over, right? To the people that crucified him. Had they known what he truly came for, they wouldn't have allowed him even to be crucified. They wouldn't even want him to die if they grasp the magnitude, the level, right? The height, the breadth, the depth, all that. Anyway, what I was saying was, that quote, you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain, right? Did Jesus become a villain? Or did all these generations, or did he become distorted as usual, like so many other people? Not him in the sense of who he is, but the perceptions of how the enemy and how these anarchists for generations have been trying to distort the primary target, him, right? And then everyone under him and next to him, right? Everyone who's associated with him. Death by association, merely because they're associated with him. Family, friend, church, people who profess to believe, try to attack their character. Now, going back to this the HurtLocker thing, we're in a minefield. We're constantly like in a minefield, walking a minefield, right? Like the so that's another scene that came in my mind in this movie Terminator Salvation. Where the dude, he was actually had a human heart, right? The dude that was supposedly the anti-hero type dude, he was actually a human Terminator hybrid, where he had a human heart and a human brain, right? But that was the only part. The rest of him was chip. He had a huge chip in his brain, and the rest of him was the highly strong metal stuff, right? But his heart was soft, right? His heart was human, and yet he got trapped in a minefield because he actually had a metal skeleton, right? He got trapped in a minefield because he had metal in him. If he had been just human, it wouldn't have trapped him, right? But because he had metal in him, he got caught up, right? So they was like, what the heck? They was perplexed on like what he is, like what's he supposed to be? What is his mission? Like what the? They were perplexed, right? Because he had a human heart, and yet he believed he was human, even though the inside of him looked like straight up machine, except for his huge rapidly beating heart, right? And as if you watch the movie, you know, he actually, was like an anti-hero, like the other Terminators in the other movie that was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He actually saved John and, you know, John's father, Kyle. And then the factory where all the clone machines were destroyed, and the prisoners that were held in the factory were actually rescued and released before they were cloned and made into machines or whatever, or put in an oven or whatever. He actually saved them. But what really helped save them was this machine that believed it was human because it had a human heart. Now, what I was saying is, like, there's so much, like, metaphysical, spiritual stuff going on with our warfare that I'm not going to go into. You can, you know, pray to God about that yourself and do your own research and reflection and your own personal journeys. But these things, you have to make a decision and be solid, again, on what I was saying, on who you are. Because these things, what I was saying in John, where Jesus resurrected Lazarus, is right after he resurrected him, they were all the more vehement on trying to find a way to kill him. And not just kill him, but kill Lazarus and put him back in the grave. It said they saw all the more, right? A way to kill him. Any means necessary. They wanted him dead, but they couldn't do it themselves. But like, why was he so hard to kill? Right? And yet they saw all the more a way to kill Lazarus as well. He just resurrected him from the from his tomb, right? And yet, as soon as Jesus brought him up, they wanted to put him back in there. It wasn't, like I said, they weren't even shocked or surprised that he resurrected from death. He rised from that realm. He escaped that realm. When he heard Jesus call him out, he answered him, responded him, and walked out that tomb. So my point is, these things aren't perplexed on these things that come against our soul, that come against our family, that come against our faith, that come against our God, that come against even the angels trying to find a way to outwit them, and they're not even believers. They've already decided. They only want to see us destroyed. There's nothing to try to convince them of or turn them over of and hoping they'll see you a different way. That cannot be your goal in trying to survive and persevere on getting these things that have already decided they hate you so much that they want to destroy your very life force and want to make you think like them, if not worse. That's pointless. That's futile. That's death. You're not going to change their mind. They're fixed. Right? They're fixed in their thinking. Right? The only thing that would change their mind is a miracle from God, and only God. In agreement with their desires. If they choose to decide their desires, want to change, they want to do something else, do something different, repent. They have to have an inkling of desire to recognize that something's distinctly, severely wrong with those those desires, those attempts, those schemes, those plots, those occultic practices, right? On trying to explore all these other realms and just make people zombies and avatars and stuff that's not good and holy. Not just for games and not just for like some gaming stuff, but actually to possess someone else's soul, going in and out of other people. That's what demons do. That's not what people do. That's not what Jesus did. That's not what angels do. Angels don't go in and out of people. They're guides. They're guardians. They're protectors. They're not trying to possess you. They're not trying to have sexual relations with you. They're not trying to make more of them. They have a distinct position as a guardian, a protector, a counselor, a minister of faith to you in a heavenly realm or in a spiritual sense. They only manifest if God tells them to manifest. If they do something contrary to that, that means they're in rebellion against God. Right? So that's not something you want to follow and listen to, just like as if it was some human trying to speak to you something against God's word, against God's heart. It's contrary to that. That's blatantly hurtful and sinful or confusing. You know, you don't want to follow strangers. So the thing is, we may seem like a minefield, right? We may seem like we're going through a minefield, but like what I was saying in my last video, we're kind of like the weapon. We're kind of like the things that are being weaponized, the honeypots or whatever, when these things come against us. When we seem like out in the open and vulnerable, like we have no protection. Like, what benefit does that give God? What benefit does that give the kingdom of heaven? We have to consider then, is God, how does that benefit him? Right? We already have the victory. We already have that when we're living that, believing that, trusting that, right? But again, we have to be believing that, trusting that, exercising that. And we have to do that by every means that he gives us, that is good, that is righteous, that encourages us in righteousness, through prayer, dedicated meditation, dedicated time away from people, and dedicated time with people that we love, that we know love us, right? That encourages us in faith, right? Encourages us in our faith, encourages and spurs us to want to keep that joy, again, that purely comes from God and just is magnified when we're living it, when we're exercising it, when we experience all these negative vibes, this brain fog, this mental fatigue, this heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching stuff. You know that you're in the tumble cycle of the washing machine or in a dryer. But who's running it? Is it Jesus? Is it you? Is it somebody else? And you need to take control of that, right? You need to take authority over that, right? Like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? If you've already been washed and cleaned, we can't allow these things to throw a wrench in that for the enemy. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta, again, like I said, you gotta remember that these things have already decided that they're against you, and they're going to stay against you. Their hearts have been hardened, right? So you have to decide that you're going to continue to be you. And if you can't be you, wherever you are, you need to go where God's Spirit can magnify, can grow within you. You need to pray through that, persevere through that. It says, as much as it depends on us. That's anywhere we are. Right? Anywhere we are and whatever we do, as much as it depends on us. Unfortunately, not everything depends on us. We don't carry the world. He already did that. We're not Atlas. right? We're not some mythological character. We're not some comic book character. Jesus already took on that and lifted it up. That's what this upcoming holiday is about. The resurrection of Christ, the life he lived, the Passover, the blood on the doorpost, right? I've noticed in my experiences, like every time holidays approach, every time specific times of family approach, the spiritual warfare, the spiritual tension, the spiritual aggravation increases all the more. It's like the intrusive thoughts are all the more vicious and vile. It's like every second some thought is perverted or malicious and hateful and evil. But they're not my thoughts. And it's so contradictory to what I'm trying to think or trying to do at a time. The timing of it is ridiculous. But the timing, it's a pattern to it. It's a pattern to it. So, again, when you recognize these patterns of these attacks, you don't have to be shocked and confused. They'll come at you some one way or another, through the brain, through the spirit, or trying to attack your body some type of way, right? Where you feel weak or down, or if it's not that, it's something else, right? But again, how are you going to respond to it? You can't expect or hope for these to change, right? You have to be you, right? So it's more like when we learn to respond better, it's like if you're used to snapping at people, God doesn't want to see you snap at everybody, right? If you're used to trying to swim and you keep fighting or struggling instead of, calming down or holding your chin up and your head up and trying to learn to float first, right? You're going to keep going through the struggle, right? It's not realizing that you're greater than the water. You're not an element, right? So you can tread it. You can go over through it. You know what I'm saying? It's like facing your fears, like these bugs on the ground, or like what was that character Batman in when he was training with the Shadow League or whatever. They put him in a room with all these damn bats that he actually was naturally afraid of, right? But yet he overcame that because he had to recognize that he's distinctively different from them. He's not like them. He's different from them. And yet he doesn't have to let these things overcome him, nor he doesn't have to let these things be his enemy. You know what I'm saying? Where he's at war with them. So it's like finding your equilibrium and recognizing your authority in the proper context of things. You know what I mean? In the proper context of things. And again, that only comes from God, right? Again, I wanted to say is like we're in a minefield, right? You've already been a villain. You've already been a mine. Your mind is a mine. Anybody who's trying to go through that doesn't belong there, that's trespassing, is dead in their trespasses. Their only hope is Jesus. Our only hope is Jesus. If we're trying to trespass and go where we don't belong, where we're not supposed to be. It's like walking and stepping on someone's graveyard and hoping like ghost and thriller crap won't just burst out and and like take you over and you become one of them gory, creepy things. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we treading on? And who are we that we are treading on these things? It said that, what's that? Luke 10:19, he's given us all authority. All authority was given to Jesus, and then Jesus gave it to us. All authority over the enemy. No matter what shape or form it is. Right? Creature. Snake, serpent, scorpion, lion, cobra, or some human being. We're not going to conquer those things acting just like them, looking just like them, We're not going to supersede them, overwhelm them. Right? It's just going to be, what the heck is that? They're going to see us as competition. We're competing with each other, warring with each other. But it's pointless. Right? They're not going to see you. You're not going to see them as family. There's going to constantly be a schism between that. Right? I mean, just think about that. They're all villains. We're all sinners. We've all fallen. Right? Some people actually want to stay down if they feel like everything that's on the ground is worth more than what's worth better than going up. They think everything's a party on the ground. You know what I mean? It's again, what is our purpose? What is the purpose that we follow? What are we following? Are we going to be strangled by thorns? Are we going to choke ourselves? Are we going to try to put some kind of chokehold on somebody else because they're in disagreement with us? Are we trying to set people free? Break off their chains? And for what purpose? What type of chains? There's chains of sin and slavery and abuse and addiction. And then there's family chains that should never be broken. Friendship chains that should never be broken. Business chains that should never be broken. Again, context. There's context for things, right? We have to try our best to put it into perspective that God leads us and wants to guide us in so that we can be better, not worse, right? If we're in a dead end, right? If we're feeling like there's things surrounding us and coming at us from all sides and stuff, you can only go up. You can either turn up or you can explode and just become what? Some liquid on the ground? Some mashed up piece of crap? Right? I mean, that's not where we're called to be. You just bewildered. You just get lost in a crowd like Waldo. Waldo wasn't really lost, right? It just had to be somebody looking for him. He wasn't lost. It's just he wanted somebody looking for him, right? That probably wasn't a good example. But anyway, one quick point I wanted to make, this duality thing, right? It's a double-edged sword, right? We've already been sinners. We're born into a world of sin and flesh, right? People can be turned by pain and pain and pleasure and fear, but they can also be restored, renewed, refreshed, reborn, right? By God through love and only through love, right? And hostility towards things that are not of love, that are not of life. If you love is from God and is God, then you have life and you can be reborn, you can be restored, you can be reconciled. If you stay cold, allow these things to overcome you, you remain in darkness, you remain in death, you remain in the realm, and those things truly have no true grasp on us. They can't truly grasp us or hold us. Just like they couldn't grasp and hold Jesus. And so keep that in perspective as Easter Sunday is coming up. This time is about the Lord Almighty. This time is about Jesus. This time is about our families, our own individual families, our friends, the things we love, the people we love, the things we love to do, the people that we want to spend our time with, the people that we want to be intimate with, that we care about. Not things of the world that offer nothing but confusion, that offer nothing but hostility, that offer nothing but vileness and just like, what the heck? You don't even know what to think. You just don't want it in you. You just want it eliminated down the toilet, right? And remember that it's not what goes in you that can destroy you and defile you. It's what you try purposely, intentionally to breathe out, to do, to live, to exercise, to practice. as if that's your gospel truth. It's not what tries to go in you and permeate through you, run you, try to infiltrate you and destroy you. What are we trying to excel? What are we trying to speak out? What are we trying to demonstrate? And what are we actually doing? There's all different levels of sin. But are you trying to be a sinner? Jesus broke that down in Matthew 5, just looking at somebody. How can that affect a child if you're throwing nightmares or perverted things in your brain or on a TV screen, or on a computer screen? And when you're trying to sleep and not even look at these things are just thrown at you. Is that fair? We have to talk to God about that, because he's given us a shield of his word, his warning. He's given us light. He's given us a lampstand. He's given us a soul and conscience. He's given us heart. He's given us a sword that's sharper than a double-edged sword. Remember that. Love who you love with the grace of God. Remember that God loves you first. We are able to love because he first loved us. He is the meaning of love. And Christ amplified that, exemplified that, amplified that, magnified that. Right? Well, not only on his suffering on the cross, but his rising from the tomb on Sunday. God bless.